again, we are bringing in feeds from 40 different locations here, so something like that is bound to happen. And again, we have plenty of backup systems in place to know exactly what Alexander is doing, so we're going to keep you posted on his progress. And right now, he is actually in the lead. Alexander Caron is through 48 of the 90 repetitions as he has overtaken Jonakowski, who briefly had the lead as he was the first man done with the initial set of burpee pull-ups. And now Lucas Holberg again did not load his bar. Yes, after his first set of pull-ups, after his first set of burpee pull-ups, is in the lead by a rep over Ben Smith.
And his thrusters look so good in the round of 15 because of the breaks he took in the round of 21. He did 3 sets in the round of 21, 3 sets in the round of 15, quick bar change, and he's already going back to the pull-up bar.
Well, Alexander Caron is back. He is currently tied with Holberg for second place. Now Holberg has separated himself as Caron is resting. Colton Mertens is back in the lead. And Mertens is on his second set of burpee pull-ups.
Just look how high he has to jump to get to that pull-up bar, but that's where his success is on his thrusters. I mean, he's a short, powerful athlete. So a movement like a thruster really plays to his strengths as an athlete and to his, to his size as an athlete. When you look at someone like Lucas Holberg, it's his complete opposite of that. It's just being a tall, stronger athlete. His in the top left corner of your screen, he doesn't have to jump nearly high at all to get up to the pull-up bar.
And Holberg in the upper left-hand part of your screen looks like he has already loaded his barbell to that final 205-pound weight. Mertens has not. Mertens is in the lead. Koski now moving past Holberg for second. So a lot of changing going on in this first of 2 heats in the opening event for the men here, the 2020 Rogue Invitational. 6 total events this weekend before we crown our Rogue Invitational champion.
It's one part of the event I actually love, just as a fan of strategy when it comes to events like this. They weren't dictated to change their weights at any point in time as long as they had it done for the next set. So they could do it after they finished their set of thrusters. In the middle of their burpee pull-ups, they could do that as well. So I like that the transitional change of the weights has now become a key part of this event.
Colton Mertens continues to lead the way here. Through 69 of those 90 total repetitions, Holberg sits in second, followed by Jonakowski and Alexander Caron, as the 3 of them are basically even as they fight for second place in heat number 1.
Lucas Holberg in the top left, Mertens is just 2 boxes over. The benefit for Holberg, and not just height, is the amount of pull he's actually having to do for his burpee pull-ups. Mertens' catch is fully extended, is doing a full pull-up up to the bar, where Holberg is just doing kind of a jumping chin over bar pull-up. That has a major factor when you talk about the arm fatigue going into these heavy thrusters.
Holberg only had one side of his bar loaded, so he got a little bit of extra rest as he loads the other side, puts his belt on it, and he'll get to work on his thrusters. Colton Mertens is the first man on the 205-pound barbell. And that is a great pace for Colton Mertens. If he keeps this up, I don't think anyone's going to catch him. Now he breaks. Lucas Holberg, he's on his final set of thrusters at 205, and he takes an early break, and Alexander Caron gets to work on the barbell for the final time. Mertens with just 2 reps remaining. Holberg trying to catch Alexander Caron for second. Mertens is done, and he'll get right to work on his final 9 burpee pull-ups, looking to set the early pace in this opening heat. Holberg taking another break, and Alexander Caron not moving either. And now Jonakowski getting some work done on his barbell for the final 9 reps. Holberg breaking often here. He is 7 reps back of that man, Colton Mertens. Who has 2 reps to go. So Colton Mertens blisters through those final 9, and unofficially, a time of 7 minutes, 17 seconds to set the early pace here.
And it's the way he handled those thrusters from start to finish. I mean, that was definitely where he made up the ground in the rest of the field.
Lucas Holberg and Alexander Caron there are opposite corners, bottom right and upper left. They're fighting for second. Now Ben Smith, next to Holberg, he's on to his final set of 9.
Now, this is the hardest part about being in separate locations and not knowing where people are, is that if they knew they were close, they would probably try to push the pace just a little bit faster if they could.
Alexander Carone is going to win the fight with Lucas Holbrook for second place. Carone unofficially a time of 7:53.6 seconds. Lucas Holbrook has finished as well. He takes third in the heat, unofficially 8:06.9. That leaves Ben Smith as your leader right now, as he has just 2 reps remaining. And now one final rep for Ben Smith, and he is done. So Smith locking up 4th place in the heat. Yamakoski getting set to take 5th. The Sean Sweeney, Blair Chapman, Nicholas Joyal, and Brendan Willis still working here. Approaching the 9-minute mark, and then we'll have just 1 minute to go before we hit that 10-minute time cap. Brendan Willis is the only man who is not on his final set of burpee pull-ups, as now Sean Sweeney and Blair Chapman have both finished. This is Nicholas Joyal with just a couple of reps remaining. And he will come in, and that means that Brendan Willis needs to try to get in underneath the time cap here, but he is quickly running out of time as he has yet to finish his final set of 9 thrusters.
And you can clearly see what the issue is, and it's just the weight of the thruster. And he's been doing singles since he got to the set of 9.
Basically going with a cluster. And he is not going to get in inside the 10-minute time cap. But 8 of the 9 men in this opening heat will, and none do it faster than Colton Mertens. 7 minutes, 17.7 seconds unofficially for him. A great start for Colton Mertens.
When you look at game plan of what the best way to approach this event is going to be, I think once we've seen the way Mertens attack this, is that, we're talking a lot about how the difficulty and maybe the height of the jump is relative to the taller athletes in the field. So what did we just emphasize? Your ability and strength on the thrusters. When you look at this, now we've seen 3 heats go, 2 of the women and 1 of the men. It's coming down to the thrusters, because the burpee pull-ups aren't necessarily a movement that's hard to do. It's different than just a regular pull-up or chest to bars or even bar muscle-ups. That burpee slows the movement down and actually makes it easier with the volume. So the race is not won on the burpee pull-up. Just keep your pace there. It is all coming down the way they handle the thrusters.
Colton Mertens hoping that his time will stick. He is your unofficial heat winner with a time of 7 minutes, 17.70 seconds. Alexander Carone will take second place as he holds off Lucas Holbrook. Holbrook taking third, and it's the 2015 fitness man on earth, Ben Smith, who will take fourth. 7:17.70 seconds unofficially says the time to beat. What are going to be the keys for athletes who want to try and chase that down?
I think a lot of this is, ability across the board, what we've seen, and we've said a lot for these athletes. It's pretty even across the board in terms of who is good at what. What I'm looking at is, when it comes down to a race like this, where you can't really tell who may win, it's going to come down to saving seconds. And now, that could be transitions of your bar, when to change your plates, how you're going to fumble with the clips. Also saving seconds on the movements, and I mean that specifically to the burpee pull-ups. The way you land off the pull-up bar. We saw Ben Smith doing something unique that I've never seen, where he would actually fall to the full lockout position, and his feet would swing back, and he would drop and not have to move his feet. Those little things make big differences towards the end when you're talking about 45 burpee pull-ups and 3 massive transitions with the barbell. So saving seconds could be the key to separating yourself on the leaderboard if everybody has the same ability.
Noah Olsen getting set for heat number 2, and we're finally going to see the first sort of salvo between him and Pat Vellner here, as the 2 of them are basically the favorites after Matt Fraser bowed out. Also with a pretty unique setup, one of the few athletes who's going to be doing these events outside. Probably getting some strange looks from his neighbors right now. And now Chandler Smith, who dominated the race for the qualifying spot at this event last year. And it was his performance in the Rogue Invitational that got him to the CrossFit Games in 2019.
And what was the event that he did so well in last year at the Invitational? It was that deadlift burpee pull-up event. Now, when you talk about deadlifts and Chandler Smith, those things go hand in hand.
And Cole Sager, who has done well at events with thrusters, you think back to some of the clutch performances that he had during the regional competitions where he needed big performances to get himself into the games. But again, that was in front of a crowd. That was where you could see his fellow competitors.
But where Cole trains all the time is in this setting, in his garage by himself. So if anyone's going to benefit from this format, I think Cole Sager is definitely top of the line.
Yeah, one of the bigger athletes in the field at 202 pounds.
Sometimes in live competition, they'll dictate their breaks based off what the rest of the field is doing around them. When you don't see your competitors, those breaks might get extended by just a little bit. And I said you got to be saving seconds coming into this event. What's another 3 to 5 seconds when you don't know if anybody else is back in the party? That adds up.
Pat Feller, bottom right of your screen, he is back in the lead through 67 of the 90 repetitions. Gubicson, Sager, Chandler Smith, and Adrian Moonweiler are all still very close to Pat Feller. Feller continuing to work through 70 of the 90 total repetitions. A couple more before he goes back to the barbell for the final time at 205 pounds for 9 thrusters.
Let's see from Moonweiler, top right part of the screen is that his burpee pull-ups are actually getting a little bit slower than I've seen from a few athletes that are trying to hang with him.
Moonweiler came out of the gates pretty hot. He is now back in second place. Noah Olson, remember he started later than the other athletes. He is being timed separately as we take a look at the event tracker on the left part of your screen. Is Pat Feller is your leader, but he does not have much of a cushion as Moonweiler, Gubicson, Sager, and Chandler Smith are all trying to chase him down.
Goodness in the top left in the second lane, he gets to his bar. And like I said, the round of 9 can change everything because it is so heavy, your brakes are forced to be longer, maybe more than you had planned on. So Feller's leading half, I think he's starting to lose it now. He's taking bigger breaks than he might think he is.
Moonweiler has now tied Pat Feller for the lead, as has Jacob Hefner.
Hefner in the upper middle part. He's doing singles, but he's not putting the bar down. He was resting in the right position. I think he just did 9 in a row.
Feller is on to the burpee pull-ups. The time to beat belongs to Colt Mertens, 7 minutes, 1 second, unofficially. And that looks like it's going to stick. So Colt Mertens is going to open up with an event win. Now the fight is for second place, as the second best time is Alexander Caron at 7:53. So Feller is done. He's going to win the heat, and he'll take second place in the event. He'll lock up 95 points in the process. And now Jacob Hefner looking to be the next man across the finish line.
Wow. Hefner, man, his last 9 thrusters. I know Feller just won the event. He's so close to Mertens' time. And again, we have to see how it shakes out with a little bit of the reviews afterwards. But Hefner never put the bar down, but he was resting in that front rack position, which just blows my mind that anyone would attempt to do that. But that's what got him into that second position, because he never dropped the bar in that set of 9 thrusters.
Feller with the top time in the heat at 7:11 unofficially. Cole Sager finishes at 7:33. Spencer Panching is in. Jacob Hefner doing what he does. Sorry, Saxon Panching. I said Spencer. Saxon was across. Now Noah Olson, remember, Olson started on a different clock. because he missed the start call, but he's being time seven. So Olson is through 78 now of the 90 total repetitions as Will Morad finished. Noah Olson is all by himself.
He's taking a big break before he gets into these last few reps.
And again, he is not on the clock in the upper left-hand part of your screen. He is being timed separately. Olson on to his final set of burpee pull-ups. And a good pace for him on his last set.
Great pace on these burpee pull-ups. Not a lot of wasted movement. Landing on his feet, dropping right down into that chest to ground position.
And Olson is done.
So I think I heard his judge say 728.
So that is true. And that is unofficial. If 728 is his time, that could be good for fourth place in the event, as he would just edge out Adrian Greenblatt. All that needs to be sorted out. But a good time for Noah Olson. Pat Belliver is the man who wins the heat, unofficially at 7:11. And that would give him second place in the event, as Cole Mertens is going to be your event winner.
I like Vellner he has that step-up burpee from the bottom position. But one thing Vellner is, I think he's very underappreciated at, is his ability to chew up thrusters. And as I said, he gets shot out the back one. But his ability to move the bar on thrusters is one of the best in the sport of CrossFit at the moment. And being able to push towards the end, again, not knowing where you are versus the rest of the field, being seconds away from Cole Mertens' overall time. Vellner, what a great finish for that first event.
And these are your key two results as Pat Belliver comes in ahead of Jacob Heffer. Adrian Greenblatt right now sits in third, but as we heard, Noah Olson may have had a time of 7:28. Again, that will all get sorted out. Chandler Smith right behind Adrian Greenblatt. All these are unofficial. They will be confirmed. That's going to be a close race to watch. The full set rounding out the top five. So Chase, one event is in the books. I know it's early, we still have 5 events to go, but biggest surprise so far that you saw between both the men and women.
Honestly, the biggest surprise on the men's side, and if you go back and look, I know the results are unofficial, but how tight the times were from first all the way down to maybe like 15th. You're talking athletes separated by mere seconds from place to place to place, and that's fascinating when they're all separated, yet they're pushing near to the same exact times. We saw that on the women's side as well. So for me, it's devoid of performance for one individual athlete, but how good these athletes are at being right at the top level. We said this is a deep field. Everyone is near the same playing field in ability and skill, and it shows that you can have 20 different athletes all within 10 to 20 seconds of each other in that top 10 position. So this is going to be a very fun weekend if this is any indication of what's going to happen going forward.
Cole Mertens is your event winner for the men. Tia Toomey, no surprise there, wins event one for the women, and she spoke for the third member of our broadcast team, Margot.
Awesome job, Tia. You did great on that first event. I noticed that you had a reverse grip on the pull-ups. Was that your plan and strategy going into that event?
Well, I was just playing around with it throughout the week, and normally I will always do an overhang grip.
Okay.
But I was actually just playing around with it. I was actually racing Matt in like a bit of an ego thing, and I naturally just went like this one day, and I was like, oh wow, like that actually, it's just a lot less fatiguing, I guess. Once I was always kind of constantly grabbing over grip, so I just decided to go with it and see if it worked, and I'm really happy with how that went. And another thing also, with the riser last year when we were at the Rogue Invitational in Ohio, I decided not to go with a riser, and I think that was game changer when it came to this time doing burpee pull-ups. You do have to do a burpee behind the riser, but it's just so much easier jumping, especially if you're that much underneath the bar.
Definitely. So looking at all the events, was this an event that you were looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I think so. You know, honestly, I look over the weekend and I'm so excited. I think they've done a fantastic job of the workouts. I think there's variety. I'm so pleased that there's a lifting event. Last year there wasn't. And, you know, I think that this will always be entertaining, not just for the athlete competing and exerting energy, but I also think it will be really entertaining for the actual spectators as well. And, you know, right now we're in a situation where there's no music, no cheering, you're in your own little space. It's literally like you're training. And that's such a different experience. And I think that having such great workouts to look forward to doing is just kind of adding to that experience.
Definitely. I love the variety of the workouts, and I'm looking forward to obviously seeing you.
Tia Toomey with the event wins, we'll let her get back to the game. So, I'm sure she's doing just fine with that as well. But impressive performance from Tia Toomey and Chase. It's wide open on that side, but on the women's side, when you see that performance from Tia Toomey, and you just got to think, I don't know who's going to knock her off the top spot.
It's not they're not often after the first event of competition, we sit back as maybe another advocate. Whoa, I'm in a little trouble here.
And they didn't get to see it firsthand. So event one is done. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with the second event of the Rogue Invitational. You are not going to want to miss this one. It is the last athlete standing power snatch event. So that's coming up next. So stay with us here at the 2020 Rogue Invitational. The 2020 Rogue Invitational is brought to you by NanoX. Ready for any workout, everywhere you work out. Shop now at Reebok.com. GoRuck. Founded by a Green Beret, GoRuck is an American brand with Special Forces roots. And Rogue. Don't weaken. Ready? Run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. Competition spaces here for the 2020 Rogue Invitational as the women are set for event number 2 presented by Reebok. Thanks for joining us here, everybody, as we continue our coverage of this very unique online event. Brookwell's warming up. I'm Sean Woodland. Chase Ingram is here as well, and we'll be joined a little bit later by Margot Alvarez. Chase, we are through one event. We just saw the event cookie before we went to break. Now that you've had some time to kind of chew on this a little bit, what stood out to you the most about the men's competition?
How close it is. We said this at the top of the show with Fraser being gone. It kind of opened up the door for everybody to have a legitimate chance at winning. And how tight it was from first to 10th in that first event, I think really showcases that kind of idea that we had coming in. So is what the weekend's going to look like. I think we're going to see a lot of ups and downs and tight races the whole weekend through.
Colton Mertens won event number 1. Not a guy who really had our eyes on coming in, but an extremely impressive performance in an event that was really built to itself.
Yes, and built in terms of stature and strength to be one of those. We were talking about thrusters, and you know, the height you are does help. Obviously, you can see that on the flip side of that, the Bar Pullups not so much, but the way he handled those thrusters in event number 1. And I think that should build on his confidence a little bit, not somebody we're really looking at coming in. I mean, there's so much said about Noah and Nelder, but the way he handled event number 1, now when you look at event number 2, I think that might play to his favor as well. But then there's always like that pressure of being in first place if they are indeed paying attention to that. But what a great start to the weekend for Colton Mertens, and I like the way this sets up for him going forward.
Mertens with the event win and 100 points right now. He is your leader with Pat Mellor, courtesy of his second place finish. He stands in second place overall. Jacob Hefner, Noah Olson, and Chandler Smith. Rounding out the top 5, Margot Alvarez spoke with Patrick Mellor after event 1.
That win, Pat. Those 205-pound thrusters looked heavy. Leading up to this event, did you have a chance to run through it or practice it at all?
They were heavy, and yeah, I did kind of, I did walk through most of them, not full speed, but just to feel kind of what it was. And Yeah, the big bounce in the Sussex, I think the 135 to the 185 was a wake-up call. And then, I mean, at the end you're tired, but I think the 185 to 205 isn't terrible. It just feels kind of the same and you're tired, and you do, like I try to do kind of 2 sets on each, so just knowing you were going to do shorter sets, it like allowed you to not sort of stand around as long, but obviously I had a little wobbly from my first set and had to do a longer second set, so I was able to recover, but they're hard. It's a simple and hard workout. You do it start.
Yeah. That's great.
Pat, down in our second place finish in that overreach event. Colton Burns gets the event win. We saw 5 events to go, but Chase, we tend to overreact to event number 1 because it's the only thing we've seen so far. So let's overreact a little bit. What's the biggest surprise for you right now after event 1?
Colton Burns has won the 2020 Rogan Attention. Is that overreaction? I think, actually, in terms of what is